Evaluating limits from graphs. So to evaluate a limit from a graph, we need to know that the left-hand limit and the right-hand limit are the same. So first we determine what value the function approaches from the left. And this is written something like as x goes to 2 from the left, what the left-hand limit is. Then you determine what value the function approaches from the right, the limit as x approaches 2 from the right. And if these two things are equal, then that is the limit. If they are different or don't exist, then the limit does not exist. So let's look at these. So here what's different between all these questions is what we're evaluating the limit as. As x approaches -5, well, here's -5. As x approaches -5 from the left and from the right, it approaches a y-coordinate of 3. So the limit is +3. Now let's look at -2. Here is the x-coordinate of -2. There, it approaches infinity. There, it approaches -infinity. So we would say that this does not exist. DNE is usually how I abbreviate does not exist because one of the limits is +infinity, the other limit is -infinity. Typically, asymptotes will represent a limit that does not exist at a particular x-coordinate. The limit as x approaches 1. So here's where x is approaching 1. If we approach it from the left and from the right, regardless, it points toward a y value of 1. So the limit is 1. Please note it doesn't matter that that is 6. I agree that f of 1 is 6. It doesn't make a difference for the actual limit. The important thing is that it approaches 1 from the left and from the right, so the limit is 1. The limit of f of x as it approaches 3. So if the left-hand limit exists here, it's -1. The right-hand limit exists, it's -4, but they're not the same. Because the left-hand limit and the right-hand limit are different, it does not exist. For 4, well, that's here. When we approach it from the left, it's -4. When we approach from the right, it's -4, so the limit is -4. And then lastly, the limits in infinity. These are a little harder to see, but this is kind of what we talk about with end behavior. If we imagine this, if there's nothing interesting happening on the left beyond this, then what we would say is that it's tending toward -infinity. The y-coordinate is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as we go this way, so we would say is -infinity. Or some people might say it does not exist. This is a difference in notation. Some people define limits as including -infinity and +infinity as possible values for the limit, and other people will say it does not exist. And then as x approaches infinity, well, if we follow this, well, it's not getting bigger or smaller. It's staying at -4. So the limit as x approaches positive infinity is -4 because it approaches and stays at -4 as we get closer and closer to infinity.